Welcome back to Poor Man Printing, guys. And I have got a few questions on the leaving the tokens behind. Some people say a reverse split. Some say 1-to-1. So we got right here, Mr. Ian from New to Crypto. Go like his page, guys. Go follow him. He's got some really good content. And he is explaining it with balloons. I mean, what better way to explain it with balloons and crowns and stuff like that? So check my man out. He's going to explain exactly what's probably going to happen. You know, it's still speculation, but just listen to what he has to say, guys.
About the fact that leaving the tokens behind. And that in turn is going to increase the price of OMI. Which it will in a way, but it also won't. And I'll explain that now, because a lot of people are getting a bit confused, I think. And they think that if the tokens are left behind or burnt, essentially, then it just means that our OMI all of a sudden becomes 3 times more valuable. Well, it actually doesn't. And I'll explain that now. I've got this balloon here. So
it's a lot of hot air you got, Ian.
Okay. Now I've got this balloon. Now, the other day when I did something with balloons, or quite a while ago now, when I did something with balloons, I realised that the air was deflating out of it as I was talking. So rather than that happening, let's use a little bit of magic. And hopefully now we should... Yes, there we go. Perfect.
How do you do that?
Okay, so now... Here are your 2 balloons, okay? This one is your circulating supply, okay? And this one is your reserve wallet, okay, or your reserve supply.
If y'all didn't know it, he's a magician too, so he's got some cool stuff that happens on his channel all the time.
Now, if you put them together along with the other wallets that are available as well, because there's still obviously the Vault wallet as well, you put all those together, it's 750 billion tokens, okay? So that is a lot of tokens. And the thing is that people look at that and they go, wow, that's too many tokens, I'm not going to invest. Now, here is the thing. If you take your circulating supply and you've got your reserve wallet, okay? If you take anything out of the reserve wallet, so for instance, say we leave a third of the... No, let's say 50%. Let's say we leave 50% of the tokens behind. This is what will happen. Absolutely nothing.
That's what I'm saying. If they take the tokens out of reserve, the tokens on the exchange... Nothing's going to change. Nothing. It's just right here in the long run is going to change. I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong. Any tokens left behind is great if they do it.
Because you take them out of the reserve wallet, and those reserve wallet tokens do not affect the circulating supply at all until buybacks. Okay, so I think there's a little bit of confusion on that. People think that if this one disappears or goes down, these ones automatically become more valuable. They don't. Okay, because there's no buyback happening or anything like that. So in essence, all that will happen is they will leave tokens behind, and that will be taken out of the reserve wallet. Now, if they were to take some tokens from this circulating supply, then yes, the tokens would become more valuable, or they would have to do that reverse split, which is what a lot of people have been worried about. And this is the reason for this video very quickly. And that is that I don't think they're going to have to do a reverse token split. Now, this all stems from something that Reese said in the beginning of a video. And I kind of think he accidentally said it and didn't really mean to. And people have alluded to the fact that we're going to leave some tokens behind, do a token split of some kind. And therefore, essentially, you would get less tokens for the amount of tokens you had. Now,
see, I'm guessing a lot of y'all thought that. I didn't hear it that way, so I didn't never think of it that way. But when it says 1-to-1, that means it's just going to be, you know, if they leave tokens behind, exchange or reserve, it's just going to be 1-to-1. When we go to swap over to Immutable X, it's going to be 1-to-1. If I got 500,000 OMI tokens over here on Go20, and we go to Immutable X, I'm going to have 500,000 over here on Immutable X. That's just how it's going to be.
Later on in the video, Dan also answered the question, and people said he seemed a bit agitated by it, as though he didn't want people to know about it. Well, I don't think that's the case. I think the reason he got a little bit almost defensive about it quickly is because of the fact that he realised that by people thinking this was the case, it would spread a lot of FUD in the community.
Which is already spreading some FUD. So, but at least... You know, I would explain it to you, but I'm not really that great at explaining stuff like this. But Ian, he's like the king of this stuff right here. So, yeah, I'm just check Ian out. You know, he's got a great channel, guys. He really does.
So what basically happened is Reese said that they would get the same value of their tokens. And then people said, so do I get this, that there's going to be a, essentially a split of the tokens? And Dan said, no, there's going to be no split. Basically, it's going to be really simple. You're going to get 1-for-1 tokens, etc., etc. So that's really all they need to do, because as I was explained, if the reserve wallet is taken away from the tokens, which incidentally, it'll be great if that happens, okay? And the reason it'll be good if it happens is not because these tokens become automatically more valuable, but because A, it increases morale in the community. A lot of people will be like, wow, we burnt tokens, it's amazing. And it is, it's pretty cool. But more importantly is that other investors who see that the tokens are burnt, there's a twofold thing happening. Firstly is they might think, oh, well, they've burnt the tokens for the token to become more valuable, so it's more likely to happen, so therefore they invest. And also, in general, a lot of people, when they're looking at cryptos, because it's the old school way of thinking, is that, well, not the old school way, but it is the way of thinking in general, and it's probably the best way of thinking for other cryptos, but maybe not for Omi, and that, or Omi, sorry, beg your pardon, and that is that you look at the final supply, and then you make your decisions based on that.
And see, that's why I made that thumbnail saying that Omi could see a Dogecoin pump, and this is the reason why. I had some people on there talking about, well, it's never gonna pump like Dogecoin, and that's right. Dogecoin is a big community, but when you got tokens being left behind, you got buybacks going, you got swapping over to Ethereum, guys, that's hype. You got new exchanges coming. That's major hype. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna pump. I don't know how hard it's gonna pump, but it's gonna pump.
But in this case, it's not the case because of the fact that a lot of that supply is already locked away. And if you don't do your extra research to find that out, then you wouldn't know these details, and therefore you wouldn't even be bothered about it. So therefore, I don't think you have to worry, because a lot of people are worried that they're going to get less tokens after the thing. I don't think you have to worry about that, because they would only need to do that if they changed this here supply. So if this supply was to go down, then yes, maybe they would need to do some kind of token split. But as it stands, that's not going to happen. They would only burn it from the reserve wallet, which doesn't affect the circulating supply at all. So there's no reason to do a token split, so I don't think we have to worry about that whatsoever. But anyway, that's just my little view on it. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Please feel free to put a comment in the box below. But the way I see it is that both of those wallets are essentially two separate entities, and one doesn't affect the other. The only way it affects it is when the buyback happens. And incidentally, if the buyback happens the way Reese says it will happen now, we won't really have to worry about the burns of the tokens either, because the amount of tokens that would be burned is kind of immaterial. The only thing we have to worry about is the amount that's sold in the store itself, because that is what goes to the buybacks. Now, the only reason the burns of the tokens really made a difference is because we were sort of under the impression that the only reason they would buy back from the reserve wallet was to top up the from the exchange, was to top up the reserve tokens, because that's essentially what they said. But from what Reese has been saying, once the buybacks start happening every month, they will just take that revenue and buy it back on the exchange. So therefore, unless they need to pause it for some reason, there's absolutely no reason anymore, unfortunately, to track the burns of the tokens, because the token burn doesn't actually make a difference. All that makes a difference is the buyback from the exchange, and that in turn will reduce the price. But again, that's just my opinion on it. That seems to be the...
And he's 100% right. Like, the buybacks will increase the Omi token big time. And like I said before, buybacks, swapping over to Immutable X, hopefully tokens getting left behind, new exchanges, it's going to pump 100%. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to pump. And guess who's going to be there? Po Man Printing. So yeah, hopefully this cleared up a few things with the tokens maybe possibly getting left behind as far as the reserve and the exchange, and no token split. It's not, no reverse split. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That would ruin everything. So no. So yeah, guys, this is Po Man Printing.